Customer engagement is simple. It simply refers to the various ways a retail brand interacts with current and prospective customers, both in store and online. However, in practice, it's a little more complicated than that, which is why it's very important to have this discussion here today, because there is a direct and proven correlation between the level of customer engagement and business profitability. A study by Constellation Research reported that companies who improve engagement can increase cross-sell revenue by 22%, upsell revenue by 38%, and order size by 5 to 85%. I know it's a massive range, but studies show it. So, we're going to buy that. Let's find out more about how to best implement and capitalize on consumer engagement. And to do just that, we have our panelists here, as you can see on the screen, starting with Farima Moyani, who is the Business Solutions Lead at Snapchat. We also have Bala Subramaniam, who is the Head of Omnichannel at Max Landmark Group. Stanislas Brunes, who is the Head of Marketing at Unas. Special shout out to our sponsors of this session, Snapchat. Thank you so much for making this happen for all of us here today and kickstarting this thought leadership webinar that we are just about to start in a bit. Also, just to remind all the attendees, all the viewers who've tuned in right now, we will be taking questions as well. So please start putting in your questions in the comment box and we will take it mid-session and if time permits at the end of the session. Great. I think because the name of the session is Redefining Consumer Engagement, first things first, let's define it for all of us, right? And it's important to do the definition, according to me, because it's gone through a whole evolutionary process, the definition of consumer engagement. There's also been a lot of interchangeability in the usage of consumer engagement, where it's been confused with customer experience, customer engagement. People don't really draw parallels there. And then also it means different things for different platforms. And I think we have a great mix here today where we have Farima from a social media network, we have Stanislas, e-commerce, and we have Bala, omni-channel, in-store, etc. So I think, Farima, let me start with you. So the very foundation of a social media platform is interaction, engagement, all of that. So I think, it might be great for you to help us define what consumer engagement, customer engagement means for you. And also if you can explain what it means from a social commerce point of view.
Thank you so much, Shruti, for this wonderful opening. I'm very excited to be part of this panel with our esteemed partners. Let's cover redefining engagement. So first, I just want to mention that engagement is as the definition that we know it, right? So consumer engagement comes when brands build relationships with individuals through a personalized interaction. We talk, the brands go and touch them multiple times throughout their entire purchasing journey. You need to gain their attention, their heart, their interest, and essentially, complete that purchase and drive that loyalty. So at Snapchat, first, I want to cover from a consumer point of view. For us, the way that we define engagement is the frequency of the visit that's done on the app. So the number of the sessions throughout the day that the user comes and visits the app, which right now we're about 30 times a day. And we also look at time spent. Are we attractive enough for the consumer to spend time on the app? And right now we're about 1 hour on especially key moments, which is quite high. From a partner's point of view, so when we help our sponsors and brands to activate on Snapchat, we look at a couple of important metrics, which are on two sections of our app, camera and content. On the camera side of our app, we look at a very important matrix that is very much discounted today, and that is called playtime. Playtime is when a user actively interacts with an AR or augmented reality experience, and that could go anywhere between 60 seconds all the way to 3-4 minutes. Marketers often come to us and say, the attention span of today's consumer is short. It's very hard to keep them engaged. When you look at a stat like that, where literally uninterruptedly a consumer engaged with your brand for this period of time, that is a value that is called a real engagement. And also, if you look at metrics like shareability, as you mentioned, we are playing in that whole social media ecosystem. So shareability is a really important component because when the brand and the experience is so immersive, users share that experience and that experience creates advocacy. So when it comes from your friends and family, it has a very different value than when you're exposed to an ad that's built by a brand. Lastly, on the content side, we look at a very high intent engagement. So when you run a, let's say, a Snap ad or a story ad and sponsor a piece of content, the fact that Snapchat is a full screen and the intent is literally swipe up or spend that time, go and consume that content, this is not accidental click. This is not a pushed force view of a video. This is when consumer by intent come and pick up a brand asset and engage with it and then take action, whether being an install an app, or go to the website and visit the website, or simply go to the store and experience it for themselves. So these are the intended actions that we call very important, because we actually hear from our partners, due to this intent, we're seeing the highest quality of users coming from Snapchat onto their app that convert, but also have a high lifetime value, meaning they have loyalty and they keep coming back. And that's really valuable.
Right, Fatima, many interesting points you've mentioned, but one thing I'd like to pick up on is the metric you said to measure what is the right kind of engagement, right? Stanislas, let me come to you. So in terms of an e-commerce platform, obviously it said that because you have access to so much data, you have access to all the information online, it should be easy for you to compute how your engagement is doing. But for an e-commerce portal like Unas, how would you say you measure consumer engagement?
Actually, good morning and good afternoon, I would say, even, and thanks for asking the question. So I'm a bit concerned because already Farima stole a lot of my metrics and lines, but no, I will add my perspective on let's say, being an e-commerce platform and the engagement. So when it comes to the metrics and the three main areas of engagement, we tend to actually divide them into three different areas, which I call personally, but also within us, off platform, on platform, and then post order. So first, I've got everything which is happening off platform. So before actually I do have a customer, I need to engage and create some intent from consumers. Where do I find that intent and create that relationship and that willingness to actually come, visit, or download the Unas app? Obviously, I will use Snapchat or other like marketing platforms, but I will measure that engagement based obviously on a lot of, let's say, social engagement metric, as Farina covered, like clicks, shares, likes, playtime, all of these kind of really like media marketing metrics. We use it and we define like how efficient and engaged are the consumer to come and discover Unas. So that's the off-platform part. Then I've got everything on platform, which is happening on Unas app or Unas website. Obviously, as an e-commerce retailer, you would say our main customer engagement would be like the orders and revenues. That's true. Indeed, that's true. Like as a business, we need to generate some revenues and some orders, but we're not only looking into that. What's really important is to have like customers that are happy and come back. So in that case, we're also looking pretty much also like Snapchat about the time that they spend on Unas app or Unas web, because if they don't find the products that they are willing to buy, they're not going to spend some time and they're going to bounce, and then it's not a good engagement for us. So time spent is important, bounce rate. Then the frequency of visits or the frequency of time they open Unas app is also quite important for us, because the more they open and the more like frequent they come back to Unas, it means like we do have some content, but products that actually please the audience and our customers. So frequency is important. And then with frequency, obviously, you have the retention. So the retention rate and the conversion rate is super important for us. So that defines for us engagement on platform. But then, and let's not forget it, while we are an e-commerce platform, there is still an offline interaction. At the end of the day, okay, you're buying a dress online, but you're wearing that dress and you're getting your Unas package at your door. Mm-hmm. So what's really important as well for us is to measure the post-order engagement and how well it is done. So obviously we do partner with a tool to measure, and I'm sure like most of you would be aware of it, like our Net Promoter Score, which is really focusing on the post-order experience. So how well was the delivery? Was it on time? Was the package like not damaged? The goods not damaged? Was the entire post-order experience like good? So we measure by NPS. And we also measure via social media, just bluntly, because people comment and share, obviously, their experience, again, like Farima mentioned, to their family. If they had a good experience, they're going to say, thank you, Unas, and they're going to tag us on every social media platform. And we do also measure these kind of like comments and share and the positive or negative feedback we can get out of it. So that's how we define engagement as a whole. So it's not only purely transactional, because that would like limit basically what you can do if you look only at the transactional data.
Understood. Great. So that's the e-commerce perspective. Let's go to the traditional perspective, if I may say so. I think it's been very exciting about how engagement laws and rules have changed in store, right? From what we've seen as just engagement as an interaction between the salesperson or an in-store staff, but that has changed multifold. And today it's become an omni-sensory sort of journey where every single sense of a customer is expected to be touched. So Bala, for you, how would you say consumer engagement has evolved in store over the years?
Yeah, Shruti, thanks for having me first, and it's great to be with a company of Farima and Stan. It's a privilege. So for us, the customer is the same, right? Either online or in store, it's the same customer. So when we look at customer engagement, it really depends on the context and the journey which the customer is on, and that defines what the engagement looks like. So I will take a few seconds to step back and look at the whole digital evolution in the last 2 decades, right? When the whole e-commerce and the digital journey started, in 2000s, it was search-led. The first phase of customer journey was to search. Customers went looking for a particular product or services and seeking information, right? Then came the social media phase 2, where the Facebooks of the world came in and said that customer journey suddenly, engagement level changed, and it meant more discovery-led, right? So where the products or services were discovered in a journey that was offered to customers. And now, as we speak, we are seeing the third phase, I would call it, which is content and community-led, right? So the customer engagement means the journey of customer and how they want to engage with us is more content and community led, and which is also witnessing the whole new creator economy, right? The whole creator economy, which is leading the whole global change the last 2 years or so. So it is not to say the other phases have vanished, but it's on the different segment of customer whom you're talking to. Your engagement strategies change, and how do you look at your tactics, which channel and which preferences you use really changes. It doesn't really matter whether it's online or offline. And for me, customer engagement means it's a two-way communication. It is not a single transaction with the customer, and it is establishing a long-term relationship with them that could benefit the whole brand and not the channel. So that's the way I would look at a customer engagement.
Great. Yeah, I think that summarizes it well enough. I was actually reading about this store called Perch, I think, in the US, where it's basically a home decor store, and it provides everything from bathroom fittings, etc. So for them, the way they've taken customer engagement to the next level is basically the funniest thing they have is they've got these bathroom sets and they've got the shower heads, right? And they actually encourage customers to bring their bathing suit and actually take a shower there. That's the level of engagement that they've gotten into. And I think it will be very interesting to see how it works out for this region, the level of engagement where, it's very deep rooted. But moving on to the second part of our conversation here, where we're talking about mobilizing the marketing channels, etc., right? Stan, let me start with you on this one. So at this point, what would you say it takes today for marketers and brand designers and brand managers to design a customer journey which increases their lifespan and the retention of a customer in the store? I know you touched upon it a little bit about retaining customers for longer, but how exactly would you go about doing that?
So what does it take? Data. Data is, I would say, the backbone and actually the crucial point that you need to have in order to design and improve your customer journeys. And then I'm going to jump and second what actually Bala mentioned is like those journeys have become so complex with the fragmentation of platforms, B, the proliferations of channels. see that kind of omni-channel approach. So we started, as Bala mentioned, we had like website and search. Now we've got like web, app, let's say, on top of that, you've got the new native apps as well. And then channels, like we started with one. Now we've got, let's say, I mean, on my media mix and on let's say, the sources of traffic coming to UNAS every single day, we are like talking about hundreds different sources of traffic. Okay. So in order for you to digest this kind of information, you need to have a solid data infrastructure, which is capable of, let's say, digesting all of these data points. Then obviously you need, and it requires like talents and resources, it's capabilities of data scientists. So you need people basically to build all of these data sets, data models, and ultimately you need analysts to have a look at the data and make these data points talk for you and draw some insights out of it. And then once you have the insights, then you can basically take some actions based on these insights and, okay, we've seen like journeys of, let's say, our Saudi customers based in Riyadh are like, is actually below the conversion rate and the engagement rate that we were expecting because we saw a drop in that particular, let's say, step of the journey. So what you really need as a marketer beyond marketing actually it's robust data sets backed by a solid data scientist like team and analyst, because with, again, the proliferation of like data points coming every single day, it's just impossible to rely on like our old traditional Excel models, let's say. So this is what you need if you want to succeed right now in 2020.
Of course, I think.
2021.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any conversation today takes place without the mention of data, right? Like both the positives and the negatives of it. But marketing tools and getting more specifically into the technologies that are available, the tools that are accessible today. Farima, I want to ask you this. What would you say are the specific tools that are available for retailers, both for in-store and online retailers, to sort of get that engagement right? And I would love for you to enlighten us more about the engagement tools that are available. And also, do you think retailers today are capitalizing on it the way they should?
Yes, I think, yeah, definitely Stan has a point. Data and understand that consumer journey and the segments of your audiences is the key. But once you kind of figure that out, I think it's important how you're going to engage with them, how you're going to retain them, because they're, unfortunately or fortunately, today's consumers are not that loyal and competition is high. So, you kind of need to evolve very quickly with your strategies to be able to keep their attention and loyalty. So I think from an experience point of view, I'm just going to refer to more from Snap point of view. The mobilization is really important, because what happens is that when in a mobile world, when consumers are super busy and going through their day-to-day journey, in very fragmented environment and a funnel, I would say, if at every touch point, because their mobile phones is with them, you have a chance to connect with them and have an always on strategy, right? I just want to give you an actual tangible experience how some of the things we do. When I was in the US in a Ralph Lauren store, I was at the cashier counter and I wanted to go and complete my purchase. Usually you wait at the cashier counter, quite a frustrating wait, like no one likes that period, right? So there was a Snap code next to the cashier. A Snap code is practically like a barcode for Snap that you can scan on your app and then activate some sort of experience. That said, scan here and redeem your voucher. So I was like, oh, well, great. Who doesn't want a discount? So I scanned the code and basically activated this gamified augmented reality on Snap. Completed a really fun game, which took about a minute or two. So a minute or two of complete engagement with the brand. Unlocked the voucher. By the time I was at the cashier, I had a 20% discount and I had a really positive experience and something's very memorable. And I shared it with my friends as well. Then I completed the purchase. That is a positive sentiment. And it's because my mobile phone is right there with me throughout this entire journey. Another example, when you land at a new location, let's say an airport or a new city, a lot of the times our users actually have this moment of they want to share. They want to say that I just landed somewhere in a new city. So we have something called dynamic geofilters. They're very efficient, super easy to set up on the Ad Manager platform, self-service. So I landed in the airport. I got to outside in the lounge, and the first thing I want to say, hey, I just landed in New York. So I overlaid the filter, and one of the filters was, hey, welcome, using my handle name, welcome Fims to New York, and the temperature is this. Make sure you stop by at our store and buy some warm clothes. It's so relevant, so in the moment, and it's so interesting for me to share, and also go visit the store and say, oh, actually, I need a hat. So this experience of being throughout this entire journey is extremely important.
Sorry, Farima, can I just to follow up on that? So obviously you're talking about Snapchat, which is a younger platform with a younger audience, etc., right? So would you say this applies to various demographics? So if not one platform, but engagement tools for all demographics, what would you see that as?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from every segment, as I said, it's important how they engage, what sort of tools they use, what are they in their journey. Absolutely. And I think when you look at that, I would say the adoption of social media, at least other platforms, even Snapchat, we don't have young users. I mean, our majority of demographics is now 13 to 44. So depending on the market you target, like Saudi, for example, we have almost 90% of that category of age. So you have to tailor it obviously to that demographic and that usage behavior, but it is very important that you use your tools. So you look at the platforms and you don't just rely on your own experiences that you can build in store on an app or website. Extend that to other platforms. So use, for example, the augmented reality AR for DR from Snap, and have a product trial within that environment and complete the transaction within app right there. So it's just identifying these situations where you don't have to build something from scratch. You can actually use the rest of the platforms to be able to activate that.
Great. Bala, let me bring you into this conversation, right? I mean, there's been conflicting opinions on this about what the role of a mobile phone in a store is going to be. While there are some retailers who say that they want customers to disconnect and experience and immerse themselves in what the store has to offer from an experience point of view, from a design point of view, and all of that. And then there's the other aspect of it where people they know that customers have the mobile phones, like Farima mentioned, at all times. They want to be reached at every single touch point, etc. As an omni-channel head of Max and Landmark, what would you say? What is your aim? What is your target? And how best do you think you can engage with the different demographics and categories of customers today?
Irrespective of the demographics of customers, very much. Shruti, imagine this. You wake up in the morning, the first thing you look for is your mobile phone. And if you don't find your mobile phone, you're stumped, your day goes for a toss, right? So mobile is a very inherent part of our life. It is, right? And hence, for us, mobile is a very important part of our strategy. And we want to bring that seamless experience from online to offline and offline to online, right? So online is a place, and the mobile is a place where customer discover our products. They see what the new ranges we offer, what the new launches we have, and what the price points, what's happening in our store. Earlier, it used to be you walk in a mall, you see the windows, and you see what's happening in the mall, right? Now it's online. It's on your mobile phone, on your pocket. So it's extremely important as a mobile strategy for us to bring that experience to our customers, both in store and online. And more, we want to integrate this experience by customers come into store, collect their order online, in store, right? When you're in store, you want to make a purchase, get it delivered to your home. It's the endless possibilities. And tomorrow, the expanding of what Farima just mentioned about our checkout experience, we want to put some of these experience into the hands of the customers. Where imagine a scenario, self-checkout, you walk into the store, scan the products, choose whether you want to buy here or get it delivered to your home. Endless possibilities. So digital is really bringing both store and online together in a very seamless customer engagement. That's how we are pursuing this journey, and that's how we think it's best suited for the brand.